Hello everyone, welcome to Marie Olivier vlog, this time about how I define workflows and operations as an agency owner. I'm Marie, the CEO and founder of Marie Olivier Ltd, the leadership transformational company for entrepreneurs, founders and leaders like you are who wants to establish or uplift their personal brand and lead with authority. And by the way, I'm super obsessed by health, so if you want to get some tips for busy people about biohacking and health, then hit follow on my Instagram, MarieOlivier_, and also connect with me on my LinkedIn, Marisa Metsnikova. And I will share some of my biohacking tricks and tips of how you can uplift your health and well-being. But now, let's get back to the operations and workflow. So when I started my company at the beginning, I was only one who was in the company, therefore I didn't need to really do the SOPs or operations. But then when I onboarded other 2-3 people in my company, we needed to do SOP. So we sit down and I usually open a whiteboard, or I was also using different visualization techniques. Who is owner of what? That time I didn't know any kind of standards of operations, how it's supposed to be done. It was just common sense, how I want other people to understand where in process they stand and what they supposed to do before or after somebody else is actually also in the process and handing over the task. So we open the whiteboard and we, for example, say, okay, Annelies is responsible for this, then she's handing over that to John, John is handing over this to Ozioma, Ozioma is handing over this to Jamila, and we continued like this and we define the workflow. And it's really efficient because you also have all of the people in one meeting and everybody can understand what is their responsibility and what they're supposed to do in that specific operation or process, and you agree on it, or they can tell you also, for example, that it's not that straightforward, that there might be decision tree if yes or no. If, for example, Annelies is not ready yet with the video, then John can continue with some other tasks, etc. So to define your SOPs, it's really important because it streamlines your efficiency for the agency or even for your company, because when I started I didn't call myself agency, but it was just operations so that we are all on the same page. Some of the softwares that we use for automation is especially, for example, ClickUp, Zapier. Zapier, we are connecting different applications together where we can trigger specific tasks in our different softwares. ClickUp we use for project management. We also tried in the past others such as Freelo, and I think also Monday.com, but Monday.com was for us a bit overkill. It's more for bigger corporations or bigger companies. It's also quite expensive. ClickUp is also expensive, but it's less than Monday.com, so this is the main reason. And we also streamline more processes inside ClickUp. You also have whiteboard, you have automations, you have AI, and you can also then link it to your different chats, conversations, send email whenever, for example, there is notification about something, or also help with the AI that, for example, if Jamila hands over to John this, then John receives the email, or that with John, Erich should be checking with him if the operations are actually well designed. Also, one of the things which are really pivotal in the operations and the system is that you keep documentation, so that you actually keep this visualization board, or if somebody in your team is making their own operation or system or process, then you need to keep the documentation of who does what. Because if not, then people can, for example, get lost, they can get confused. And this is especially happening in the international environment. My team is international, they are based in different countries, and if something is not stated black on white, people just might get out of the process, they might get out of the operations, and it can get more confusing than it actually was before we defined that specific system. So I hope that this made it a bit clear for you on how you can define workflows and operations in your agency or in your company. If you have some follow-up questions regarding this topic, then let me know below. We can then record another topic about this during Marie-Olivier vlog, for example in September or even August, or whenever you will have actually this comment. And hit the button subscribe here on YouTube. And if you want to get a personal branding template for free, where I actually help you to identify your business, so like a business ideation, if you want to start with a new business, etc., then write me on LinkedIn that you are coming from this exact episode, and I will send you this template for free. And I will see you next time. Bye!